I should. We would all be achieving our goals, making a load of money, feeling great. What we actually need is something more practical. It is choosing not to abandon yourself again and again. Thank you so much, everyone who has joined today. I'm Jess. For those of you that don't know me, I am a certified life coach, NLP practitioner, and founder of the Kindness Catalog, which is a coaching and well-being platform. I've been in Dubai for 14 years, and I spent 13 of those years in corporate as a commercial director. And now I help professionals rewrite their relationship with stress and success to feel happier, healthier, and more fulfilled in life. And today we're talking about a really important topic, work-life alignment. Did you know that planes are off course about 90% of the time? They're constantly making thousands of tiny adjustments to stay aligned with their destination. And yet, they always get to that final destination. That's what alignment is really about. So it's not about showing up perfectly every day or having the perfect 5 or 10-year plan. It's about knowing where you're heading, where the next pit stop is, and gently noticing when you have drifted off course to kindly steer yourself back towards the life that you actually want. And I know this because for the longest time, I had no idea where I was heading. My goal in life was to get to success, earn more money. And to do that, I was just working as fast as I could and as hard as I could. So growing up, I lived in this really strange paradox where my dad was wealthy, but I lived with my mom and we didn't have a lot. So from a young age, I learned the lesson, or so I thought I learned, that I needed to do what my mom was doing, which was working 2 jobs, going to university, putting my head down and powering through to get the life that my dad had built and to get that financial success. And so I did it. I went full speed towards a destination titled success until one day I looked up and I didn't even know where I was heading. So if you've joined here today to talk about work-life alignment, and I'm sure that there's a part of you that is pushing through, heading to an unknown destination. Maybe you know where you're going, but maybe you don't know exactly what fulfillment looks and feels like. So the moment everything shifted for me was when I realized that earning more, climbing higher, or going faster didn't matter, because I spent most of my time actually traveling to the destination, arriving at the next milestone, and I wasn't enjoying the process. Work-life alignment is about knowing what really matters to you at this time in your life and making small, constant adjustments to live in line with that. Because whether you're pushing harder, whether you decide to take a holiday or set a boundary, you are heading somewhere. Every choice that you make is steering the plane, even when you're not paying attention. And let's be honest, when you get the promotion or the next pay increase, it is great for about a week. And then the goalpost moves and we're on our next journey again to get to that next goal, the next milestone. So we might as well learn how to feel good whilst we're flying. And that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. Let's make sure that the journey and the destination both feel great. So take a moment and ask yourself, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the happiest, how happy do you feel in life right now? and just go with your gut. Don't overthink it. And if you feel comfortable, drop it in the chat. Whatever number comes to mind, you joined here today for a reason. And so my guess is you're not a 10. That means that there is room to feel better, to feel more aligned, more fulfilled. And by the end of this session, I promise that I am going to give you some practical tools to help you raise that number starting today. Now, think about that number. Chances are this isn't the first webinar that you've attended or the first book that you've read or YouTube video that you've watched to try and improve your life, to try and improve the way that you feel. Most of us, when we think about feeling better in life, we think about work-life balance. If we can just get the right routine, if we can just get the right team members or the right support from those team members or the right support at home, then everything would finally start working and I would finally start feeling better. That is how I felt throughout the majority of my corporate career. No matter what I did, and I did a lot. I went on the retreats, I read the books, I watched the videos, but something always felt like it was failing me. If I was good at work, I was neglecting my health. If we were good in the relationship, I'd feel behind at work. Something always slips through the cracks because work-life balance is an impossible juggling act. It leaves you constantly tired and probably, if you're anything like me, constantly shaming yourself for not being good enough to manage something that's important in your life. But here's the thing. We are not failing. It is the idea of balance itself. So for me, the turning point came when I stopped trying to split myself equally between everything and started asking a different but very simple question. What actually matters to me most right now? And how can I align my choices with that? We're taught that the solution is work-life balance, but actually striving for balance is the problem because it implies fairness, equal split between work and life. And life consists of health, fun, wealth, growth, career, relationships. Life isn't equal. Some seasons demand more at work when we're striving for that next promotion or when we're striving for that big client win. Some seasons you have a newborn baby at home, and some days your nervous system simply needs a break, and that is why balance fails us. What we actually need is something more practical and honest to figure out what actually matters to us in life right now, in this particular season of our life. And that is what I call your guiding principle. Your guiding principle isn't about getting to your final destination that you'll stay at forever. It's simply a current conscious choice about what's worth steering towards right now. And it can change. And in fact, it should change based on whatever season of life you're in and what's important to you at the time. So let's take the next 5 minutes just to figure out what your guiding principles are right now, so you can feel healthier and more confident in the decisions that you're making. Grab a pen and paper or just jot it down in your notes, but what are you craving more of right now? Is it time to yourself, time with the family, energy, recognition at work, financial freedom to go on holiday or to start that side hustle that you've been thinking of for so long. Connection, support. There are so many things that you could be craving right now. So just write down the first word or phrase that comes to mind. And this should be something that comes to mind when you think about what is missing in life right now. And if you would, drop it in the chat too, because here's the thing. Noticing what you want and becoming aware of it, that is a great, powerful first step. But change, that happens when you own it and you start aligning your choices with it. And a choice could be deciding to share it with complete strangers or with somebody that you love. But whenever you're ready, just drop it in the chat or give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Seeing some great answers here. Thank you guys for sharing. Financial freedom, having more time with my family, setting boundaries between work and myself, time for myself. I'm seeing a lot of people saying time for others. All great and all really important. So question 2, if you could only focus on one thing this quarter, what would it be? In your work, your life, or with yourself, what is important to you right now? And what would have the biggest impact on your happiness levels? Write that down and share it too. Financial growth and time, financial freedom, good health and peace of mind, support. And the interesting thing is, it's like, what is important to me right now and what I want to focus on this quarter was completely different to last quarter. And a lot of these that I'm seeing, I have had different points in my life where I have been craving or wanting to focus on very similar things. Question 3, what is the cost of staying on your current path? So for example, if nothing changes in your life, if you just keep working and living exactly the way that you are for the next 6 to 12 months or 5 years, what would it cost you? What is the negative impact of the way that you're currently living? Why do you want to change? Is it your health, your lifespan, your relationships, your happiness? And let me give you an example here. So for me, before I made changes in my life and started thinking about work-life alignment instead of balance, I had a really, really high resting heart rate and my blood pressure was through the roof constantly, even when I was on holiday. And I had convinced myself that if I didn't make a change, I was heading straight towards a stroke or a heart attack. And call it good or bad, true or false, that was my motivation to change. It was my health. It was the direction of which my life was going that I didn't want. And that was big enough reason for me to change. Health and distance from kids, burnout, health, my mental and physical health, high stress, no growth, mental and physical health and happiness. Absolutely. And whilst we're just focusing on one thing today, or a couple of things, if you think of a couple, great. Go through this exercise in your own time. And the more that you can add to this list, the better, because this is your motivation to change. We're all comfortable in the life that we're living because it's familiar. But the moment that you really start recognizing what it is costing you, then you can start to consider an alternative way of living. Mental health, frustrations. Yeah. Okay, so now this is where the magic happens. I want you to take what you wrote for all 3 questions and look for a thread. What is the common theme? What do they all point to? What is your guiding principle? And I'm going to give you some examples, but this doesn't mean that you get to ignore everything else, or that you're going to ignore everything else. But it just means that this becomes your compass for decision making for this point in your life. So, for example, I crave recognition. My focus this quarter is my side hustle. The cost of not acting on this is my health. Therefore, my guiding principle is to build something of my own in a way that feels healthy and sustainable. So, at a glance, everything that you wrote might not connect, but it's your job to make them connect, to join the dots. And there is no right or wrong answer. My interpretation of what you wrote may be completely different to your interpretation, but the only person that this guiding principle needs to make sense to is you. So another example, I crave more calm. My focus this quarter is my health and fitness. The cost of not acting on this is my marriage. Therefore, my guiding principle is to protect my personal time so I can show up at home as my best self. Last example, I crave more growth and purpose. My focus this quarter is exploring a new career path. The cost of not acting on this is feeling unhappy at work. Therefore, my guiding principle is investing in my growth so I can feel confident of the path I'm on. That's what alignment looks like. It's not perfect. It's about just choosing what matters to you right now and letting it guide your decisions. So just take a moment to think of your own. And if you want to, share it in the chat or just give me a thumbs up when you're done. And I know that this is deeply personal, but the benefit is most people, if not nobody in the chat, knows who you are. And there is power in sharing it. When you share something as powerful as your guiding principle, it makes it real. Amazing. So if you struggled with this, or if you've answered all three questions, but you cannot find the thread and you need help, stick around at the end till the end, and I will be offering a 30-minute free consultation for everyone that's joined today. And we can connect and we can go through it, and I can help you find a thread that might work for you. But now you have it. At least most of you should have a guiding principle, and this is what really matters to you in this season of your life. You can use it to feel more grounded, clear, and calm. For example, if my guiding principle was investing in my growth so I can feel more confident of the path I'm on, when I worry that I'm falling behind on client requests, I'll remind myself I'm building my own path, and that means prioritizing myself and my education. When I feel selfish for spending time by myself instead of my kids, I'll remind myself growth is how I show up better for everyone else long term. And if I hesitate to ask for help, I'll remind myself being uncomfortable is a sign of growth. So just take a moment and think about when you set a goal, what usually throws you off course from what you really want, from achieving that goal, and just decide how you'll respond next time. What can you remind yourself of that is in line with your guiding principle? Mental obstacles and real obstacles, physical obstacles. They happen. That is a part of life. Otherwise, we would all be achieving our goals, making a load of money, feeling great, be super fit and healthy. But life happens. Life gets in the way. So preparing for those obstacles can help even when life tries to pull you off track. Now, you've got your guiding principle, and you have even thought through the worst case scenario when life throws challenges at you, how you're going to respond. Alignment doesn't require anything more than one decision, just one simple decision at a time. The decision might feel small, but every time you make that decision to remind yourself of whatever it is, or to act in a way that is in alignment with your guiding principle or with your goals, your identity starts to shift. And you become someone who might be declining meetings that they don't really need to attend. Or you become someone who blocks 30 minutes for themselves at lunchtime and takes a walk. Or somebody who says, I'll get back to you, instead of saying yes right away. So just take a moment right now and ask yourself, what is one small, tiny decision that I can make to live in alignment? Something that supports your guiding principle, and commit to it. Because alignment is simply this. It is choosing not to abandon yourself again and again and again. And slowly but surely, you become the person that is making these decisions to support your guiding principle by default. But it takes practice. And practice starts with one tiny decision. Deleting emails and Teams off my personal phone. Because when it's there, we automatically feel drawn to it. It's a great one. Committing to a minimum of 30 minutes studying every day, to focus on what I can control rather than reacting to what I can't, to start reading again. These are amazing. And what I would ask for you to do, either right now or directly after the meeting, is schedule it in. Schedule it into your calendar. So even when you forget, even when life gets in the way, or the boss asks you to join that late night call or to cover him while he's on holiday, you are reminded that you also need to prioritize yourself. And this is the thing. Even when you know what you want, you have prepared for all of the obvious obstacles, you can still catch yourself making choices that go completely against what you said you wanted. So I remember when I finally decided that I'd had enough with the high resting heart rate, the high blood pressure, and I made a decision. I was like, I am going to prioritize my health. I'm going to do whatever it takes. I was so clear on it, and I wanted it so badly. I understood the cost. I did not want to go into an early grave. I wanted to have a healthy and happier life. But when my boss asked me to join late night calls, what did I say? I said yes. I would say yes when I had planned to go for evening walks or go to a second session in the gym. Why? I would say yes, rush through dinner. I would get up to date on my emails in preparation for the calls, and I'd go to bed exhausted. Because deep down, I believed that I should always say yes to prove that I'm committed. And that's the thing. So many of our decisions aren't actually conscious. We're all living by these invisible, unspoken rules that we picked up over the years through learned experiences. Like the example that I gave you in the beginning with my mom. I learned that I should work as hard as possible to get any goal in life. And we all have these hidden rules or these shoulds, I call them I shoulds, that we live by. And they will keep pulling us off course to what we really want unless we address them one by one. So they could sound like, I should stay late to prove I care. I should say yes, or they'll think I'm not a team player. Or I should say yes, or he'll think I'm not a good wife. I should keep quiet to avoid conflict. I should always put everyone else first. I should. And they, as I'm reading them out, some of them might seem normal to you and to me. They used to, even necessary, because these rules that we live by, they helped us thrive in different times in our life and they worked for us. But maybe now they don't. Maybe now the rules that you live by, those unconscious rules that you've learned through your upbringing, through school, through experiences, maybe they're the things that are keeping you misaligned and unfulfilled. So think about a situation where you feel conflict, or you feel stretched, or resentful, or exhausted, or misaligned. And specifically, when you think about taking action towards your guiding principle, when you think about doing the thing that you just committed to, what gets in the way, or what could get in the way? Ask yourself, what silent rule is driving my behavior? And write down just one to begin with. Next to this should, write down why this doesn't work for you anymore. It could be, it leaves me drained and it leaves me doing work that doesn't matter to me, or it costs me my health and nobody actually notices when I stay late in the office. It keeps me invisible and resentful. Be honest. What is the price you're paying for living by these rules or this rule? Now, in this session, we're just thinking of one, but do this by yourself. And it is a very interesting process. I'm sure you're going to see so many rules that are keeping you stuck, and you can begin to address them one by one. The moment that you see the rule, you become aware of it, and you understand what it's costing you, you have the power to rewrite it. And this is how you do it. I want you to cross out or delete the old rule, I should, and write your new one. But start with I choose. For example, I should always be available becomes I choose to protect my peace, my time. I should make everyone happy becomes I choose to honor my needs too. I should push through exhaustion becomes I choose to rest when needed. This is where alignment begins. One conscious choice at a time. Because here's what happens. When you make a conscious decision, you tell your brain that there is more than one possibility, more than one way to live, and you can create options that you didn't see before. And when your brain has options, you stop clinging to the old rules that were once familiar, that were once helping you and supporting you to achieve your goals. And you start building new ones that align with your guiding principle and where you're actually heading in this season of your life. Every time you choose differently, you are rewiring your mind for alignment, and you're proving to yourself that you can trust yourself, that you can lead your life, that you're not just reacting to it. You're not living on autopilot. You're consciously choosing to live by choice. Now, the thing is, the unconscious beliefs holding you back from living the life that you want, they unfortunately don't show up when you're journaling or when you're doing something like this. hopefully everybody has been able to pull just one. But when they really show up is in a moment when you're challenged, in a meeting, at home, in an argument, during conflict, during a tough conversation, or when your boss asks if you're available to join that late night call and you're put on the spot. So here's a quick exercise that you can do when you feel that conflict internally. Stop and notice it. Tune in and ask, does this align with my guiding principle? Observe the inner conflict. You will hear if you consciously listen. No, this doesn't align with my guiding principle, but I should. And that is your aha moment. You may be aware of it based on the work we've done today, or it may be something new that you're going to tackle. Then proceed with a conscious choice. I choose. Even if all you do is pause and notice the thought, that is already a win because you're building awareness, and awareness creates choice. So once you start pausing, noticing, and choosing differently, you open a door to real change. And I want to show you what that can really look like in action. So let me tell you about Becky. When Becky and I first got together, she felt really stuck and burnt out in a career that she'd outgrown. She was bored. So we uncovered all of the limiting beliefs, that I shoulds, and all the other hidden rules that were keeping her stuck. She gained clarity on what she wanted. And what she really wanted was a meaningful career change. And within just 8 weeks, she gained unbelievable, unshakable confidence, and she took powerful steps to land her dream job. So in her own words, let me play this.
When I think about growth and I think about personal development, I have to talk about Jess and the Kindness Catalogue. Jess has been so instrumental and invaluable in helping me with understanding what it is that fulfills me in life, but also how do I get that balance with work, with personal life, and how do I become my authentic self? So I would say as a young professional, Jess has been an unbelievable guide in navigating and supporting me in all of my growth. So it wasn't just about setting goals with Jess. It wasn't that at all. It was about looking at it from a holistic view. How do you have a professional and personal lifestyle balance where you're achieving all of the goals and aspirations that you have, and do these aspirations truly align with what you consider as fulfillment in your life? Focus on my own confidence, something that I struggled with, but Jess was able to support me in that own journey of growth to make sure that I had the confidence to step out, to really look at what it was that did fulfill me and how that did align with each of those aspects. So it was an amazing, and is still an amazing experience of the life coaching that I've had with Jess. She was brilliant at holding me accountable, making sure that she was checking in. And that was really instrumental for me, especially considering that me and Jess did have a bit of geographical distance. So Jess, yes, she is in Dubai, but I never felt that. I always felt like me and Jess were in the same room, having a coffee together, chatting through everything, making sure that I've got what I needed out of the life coaching. She truly cares about your growth. It isn't just you turning up caring about this. She truly is passionate and cares about how do we get you to where you want to be, and that level of kindness meant that I could lean into the journey even further and bring my confidence up even further in everything that I do. Something that I had done life coaching before and wasn't adamant that I would find that, but I have found that with the Kindness Catalogue, which has been instrumental in changing my life. If I'm being completely candid, it changed.
And just because of time, I'm just going to skip through to the last slide. And Becky's journey and experience and of me working with her has been absolutely incredible for both of us. It was thoroughly enjoyable, and that type of change isn't just possible for Becky. I have other testimonials of other people that I'm working with that I have experienced very similar outcomes with. So whether you work with me or whether you work with another coach or really carve out time for yourself, change is possible. If you truly want alignment, start with what you did today. Spend time on that. And if you want more support from me, or if you want to really understand how I can support you moving forward, we have two options. So if you prefer to work at your own pace, my online course, Life by Design, walks you step by step through 5 modules, 18 lessons, and workbooks, and a proven plan that you can follow. You'll walk away with clarity, confidence, energy, and a clear direction for your life. The original price is $80, but you can get started with 20% off using the discount code on screen. The other option is one-on-one coaching. We offer private sessions where we'll get together, we will work through your life strategy, work through specific challenges, and I will personally hold you accountable as you realign your life. Everybody on the call gets a free 30-minute consultation. So if you want to have a chat based on the exercises that we've gone through today, or if you want to understand how coaching can support you based on what you're working through, then I am just going to share my number in the chat right now. You guys have my email address as well. So however you want to reach out, go ahead, and I would love to hear from you. But whatever you choose, just remember, alignment is not about perfection. It is about making small, intentional choices to move you closer to the life that you actually want to live, and learning to be kinder and more compassionate with yourself in the process. And you've already started doing that by the work that we've done today. So thank you for joining.